When you look at a roaring fire or a fox sprinting through the woods, you immediately recognize their shared, vibrant hue. But for almost all of recorded human history, people saw these exact same shades and had absolutely no dedicated word to describe them. Instead, early English speakers relied on clumsy mashups. If they wanted to point out this specific band of the spectrum, they called it giallo red, literally yellow-red. The environment dictated their vocabulary. In the natural European landscape, this physical color was incredibly rare, mostly limited to fleeting sunsets or toxic flora. Without a constant presence, there was no communicative pressure to invent a specific word for it. Because of this, medieval Europeans categorized their world with broad strokes. Anything sitting between 590 and 630 nanometers on the electromagnetic spectrum was swept into the conceptual buckets of either red or yellow. There wasn't a single native plant or animal that possessed this hue with enough intensity to force a new category into existence. Closing this lexical gap required an exotic botanical specimen from an entirely different ecosystem. The birth of a brand new abstract color concept depended on a massive intercontinental supply chain to deliver a very specific physical object. We have to travel to the native ecosystems of ancient India and Southeast Asia to find a wild, thick-skinned citrus fruit. Local populations named it using the Dravidian and Sanskrit root word naranga, which translates literally to fragrant fruit. These early Asian cultures cultivated the plant primarily for its aromatic oils and medicinal properties, paying little attention to the vibrant skin. At this point in history, naranga was strictly a noun. It denoted a material object you could hold in your hand, with absolutely no association to an abstract color. This knop traces the physical fruit packed onto ships along the Silk Road, spreading westward from Southeast Asia. In the Persian Empire, merchants adapted its name to narang. Arab traders then expanded across the Islamic Empire, modifying the term to naranj. By the 8th century, Moorish and Arab merchants crossed the Strait of Gibraltar, physically planting these bitter citrus groves in the Iberian Peninsula and around the Mediterranean. As early European languages absorbed this foreign commodity, they initially preserved that starting N sound. In Spain, for example, it became naranja. Global commerce was actively rewriting human vocabulary in real time, shifting syllables as the crates moved across borders. But when the fruit crossed into France, it hit a peculiar auditory roadblock involving spoken articles. French speakers were trying to say une narange. Because words blur together in conversation, listeners misheard the gap between article and noun, dropping the N entirely to create une orange. Linguists call this juncture loss, the exact same mistake that turned a napron into an apron. In France, this new spelling stuck because it aligned with the word or, meaning gold. The linguistic accident felt appropriate for a fruit with such brilliant skin. By the time the fruit reached England, it was a rare luxury item. Look at the sheer scale of this conservatory. Cultivating this warm weather crop in Northern Europe required immense infrastructure and extreme wealth. Through a series of misheard syllables and aristocratic obsessions, the word was permanently locked into its modern form. By the 1500s and 1600s, the fruit was so widely recognized in Europe that English speakers finally abandoned the term yellow-red. The name of the exotic object became the exclusive adjective for the hue itself. The ultimate scientific endorsement arrived in the 1660s, when Sir Isaac Newton began conducting his foundational optical experiments with glass prisms. This diagram shows Newton's work. Look at the vertical column on the right side of the projection. He explicitly charted the color within his 7-part Vibgyor spectrum, highlighting the letter O to mark its official scientific adoption. Within just a few centuries, the transition was so complete that humanity forgot the history. We collectively assumed the fruit was named after the color, rather than the other way around. Global trade routes and human errors and shared history actively construct the language we use to navigate our world. The words used to describe our most basic visual reality are ancient souvenirs of global commerce, embedded into our everyday speech. Take a look around you. What other everyday concepts might secretly be named after ancient objects? Let us know your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Roots of Routine.
Subscribe to us for more such videos.